Welcome everyone! Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Christine J. Castro and I will be your host for today. Our group will be presenting one of the content of our course, Building and Enhancing New Literacies Across the Curriculum, which is the Artistic and Creative Literacy. This chapter intends to discuss the value of arts to education and practical life, and how students be able to become creative and innovative learners. But before we get started, if you have any questions about the presentation, please type them into the comment box in our Google Classroom. We'll bring them up after the presentation, and we will also have an assigned task for you regarding the topic. Now, without further ado, we will turn the time over the first presenter. Our presenter today is a 23 years old English major student of Pambayang Kolehiyo ng Mauban, currently taking the Bachelor of Secondary Education. Please welcome Ms. Micah Sara Medjavillo.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
National Coalition for Core Arts Standard, a Conceptual Frameworks for Arts Learning, 2014. Define artistic literacy as the knowledge and understanding required to participate authentically in the arts, where the NCAS document frames authentic participation primarily in terms of art making, foregrounding the explicit cultivation of expressive techniques within its 5 major categories. First, dance, media arts, music, theater, and visual arts. This approach is more interested in participation, as defined through a sense of personal, meaningful connection. While this sense may indeed be aided to direct experience of art making, we find it important to distinguish art practice from art access. Through artistic literacy, we seek to facilitate individual experiences of the arts that, regardless of each participant's prior knowledge, feel both personal, relevant, and specifically accessible. Eisner 2002, MENC 1996, Perso, Newton, Eraser, Silburn, and Tatit 2011 recognize that there are significant benefits of arts learning and engagements in school. The arts have shown to create environment and conditions that result in improved academic, social, and behavioral outcomes for students from early childhood through the early, later, and year of schooling. Through this practice, students hope to be creative in communication using their verbal and non-verbal communication. And with that, they can create or imagine new ideas. And also, they are not just focused on a specific ideas, but in a complex variety of ones. Engaging in quality arts education experience provides students with an outlet for powerful creative expression, communication, aesthetically rich understanding, and connection to the world around them. According to Shenfield 2015, being able to critically read, write, and speak about art should not be to the sole constituting factors for what counts as a literacy in the arts. Considerably, more dialogue, discussion, and research are necessary to form a deeper pictures of arts and creative more broadly. The cultivation of imagination and creative, the formation of deeper theory surrounding multimodality and multiliteracy in the arts are paramount.
Thank you, Ms. Medjavillo. That was very knowledgeable introduction about an artistic literacy. And now, for our second presenter, she is also a student of Pambayang Kolehiyo ng Mauban and their Bachelor of Secondary Education major in English. Please welcome Ms. Kate Cyrus Naive.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Elliot Eisner
intrinsically valuable lessons or benefits that education can learn from arts, and he summarized this into 8. And for the first, form and content cannot be separated. As form and content are dependent on each other, it cannot be separated. How something is said or done shapes the content of experience in terms of education, how something is taught, how curricula are organized, and how schools are designed impact upon what the students will learn. These side effects may be the real main effect of practice. For the second, everything interacts. There is no content without form, and no form without content. When the content of a form is changed, so too is the form altered. Form and content are like two sides of a coin. And for the third, nuance matters. To the extent to which a teaching is an art, attention to nuance is critical. It can also be said that aesthetic lies in the details that the maker can shape in the course of creation. How a word is spoken, how a gesture is made, how a line is written, and how a melody is played. All affect the character of the whole. All depend upon the modulation of the nuances and that constitute the act. Surprise is not to be seen as an intruder in the process of thinking, but as a part of the rewards one reaps when working artistically. No surprise and no discovery. No discovery, no progress. Education should resist surprise, but create the conditions to make it happen. It is one of the most powerful sources of intrinsic satisfaction.
Fifth, slowing down perception is the most promising way to see what is actually there. It is true that we have certain words to designate high levels of intelligence. We describe somebody as being swift or bright or sharp or fast on the pickup. Speeding in its swift state is a descriptor of those we call smart. Yet, one of the qualities we ought to be promoting in our school is slowing down of perception. The ability to take one's time, to smell the flowers, to really perceive in the Deweyan sense, and not merely to recognize what one looks at. And for the sixth, the limits of language are not the limits of cognition. We know more than we can tell. In common terms, literacy refers essentially to the ability to read and to write. But literacy can be reconceptualized as the creation and use of a form of representation that will enable one to create meaning that will not take the impress of language in its conventional form. In addition, literacy is associated with high-level forms of cognition. We tend to think that in order to know, one has to be able to say. However, as Paula Neal, 1969 reminds us, we know more than we can tell.
And for the next, which is number 7, semantic experience is one of the most important indicators that something has gotten it right. Related to the multiple ways in which we represent the world through our multiple forms of literacy is the way in which we come to know the world through the entailments of our body. Sometimes one knows a process or an event through one's skin. And for the thus, which is number 8, open-ended task permits exercise of imagination, and an execute of the imagination is one of the most important of human aptitudes. It is imagination, not necessity, that is the mother of invention. Imagination is the source of new possibilities. In the arts, imagination is a primary virtue, so it should be the teaching of mathematics in all of the sciences, in history, and indeed in a virtually all that humans create. This achievement would require for its realization of culture, of schooling in which the imaginative aspects of the human condition were made possible.
Thank you, Ms. Naive. That was very informative report of yours. Now, I would be discussing on how to characterize unartistically literate individuals. For me, an artistically literate student is a person who can perceive these elements in dance, visual art, and theater, as well as in music. The anchor standards reflect the overarching nature of the fundamental concepts of all arts disciplines. How would you characterize an artistically literate student? Literature on arts education and art standards in education cited the following as common traits of artistically literate individuals. First, they use a variety of artistic media, symbols, and metaphors to communicate their own ideas and respond to the artistic communications of others. It is said that an artistically literate citizen uses a variety of artistic media, symbols, and metaphors to independently create and perform work that expresses and communicates their own ideas, and are able to respond by analyzing and interpreting the characteristic of an artistic communication of others. And a creative curriculum will not simply allow but actively support play and playfulness. The teacher will plan for learning and teaching opportunities for children to be at once who they are and who they are not, transforming reality, building narratives, and manipulating sign and symbol systems. And for the next, they develop creative personal realization in at least one art form, in which they continue active involvement as an adult. In a classroom where students can choose to draw, write, paint, or play in the way that suits their purpose and or mood. Literacy learning and arts learning will inform and support each other. Participation in each of the arts as creators, performers, and audience members enables the individuals to discover and develop their own creative capacity, thereby providing a source of lifelong satisfaction. I can say that I am an artistically literate citizen because I found one art discipline in which I can develop sufficient competence to continue active involvement in painting and sketching. Last time, we were assigned to do some artworks on one of our courses, and these are mine. Our finished pieces may not be comparable with the likes of the great masters, but often the process is therapeutic and the end result can be aesthetically pleasing. And for the third, they cultivate culture, history, and other connections through diverse forms of genres of artwork. Throughout the history, the arts have provided essential means for individuals and communities to express their ideas, experiences, feelings, and deepest beliefs. Each discipline shares common goals but approaches them through distinct media and techniques. Understanding artwork provides insights into individuals' own and others' culture and societies, while also providing opportunities to access, express, and integrate meaning across a variety of content areas. An artistically literate person seeks to understand relationship among the arts and cultivate habits of searching for and identifying patterns between the arts and other knowledge. And for the next, they find joy, inspiration, peace, intellectual stimulation, and meaning when they participate in the arts. Participation in the arts as creators, performers, and audience members or responders enhance mental, physical, and emotional well-being. And for the last, they seek artistic experiences and support the arts in their communities. The arts provide means for individuals to collaborate and connect with others in an enjoyable, inclusive environment as they create, prepare, and share artwork that bring communities together.
Discuss the issues in creativity, let us welcome our third presenter. He is also a student ng Pambayang Kolehiyo ng Mauban under Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in English. Please welcome Mr. J.R. Franklin Kaliwanagan.
Issues in teaching creativity. In his famous TED Talks on creativity and innovation, Sir Ken Robinson do school kill creativity, 2006. How to escape education's death valley, 2013. Stress paradigms in the education system that hamper the development of creative capacity among learners. He emphasized that school stigmatizes mistakes. This primarily prevents students from trying and coming up with original ideas. He also reiterated the hierarchy of systems. Firstly, most useful subjects such as mathematics and languages or work are at the top while arts are at the bottom. Secondary academic ability has come to dominate our view of intelligence. Curriculum competencies, classroom experiences, and assessment are geared toward the development of academic ability. Students are schooled in order to pass entrance exam and colleges and universities later on. Because of the painful truth, Robinson challenged educators to educate the well-being of learners and shift from the conventional learnings toward the academic ability alone. Give equal weight to the arts and the humanities and the physical education. Facilitate learning and work towards stimulating curiosity among learners. Awaken and develop powers of creativity among learners and view intelligence as diverse, dynamic, and distinct. Contrary to common belief that it should be academic ability. Although educators claim to value creativity, they don't always prioritize it. Teachers often have biases against creative students, fearing that creativity in the classroom will be disrupted. They devalue creative personality attributes such as risk-taking, impulsivity, and independence. They inhibit creativity by focusing on the production of knowledge and obedience in class. Why the disconnect between educators, especially stands toward creativity, and what actually happens in school? How can teachers nurture creativity in the classroom in an era of rapid technological change when human innovation is needed more than ever, and children are more distracted and hyper-stimulated? These are common questions in connection with students' creativity and how it will enhance them. So the obvious next question is, how can creativity be cultivated in the classroom? It turns out there are lots of ways. Here are the 3 keys ways in which teachers can begin. First, focus less on the reproduction of information and more on critical thinking and problem solving. Second is create activities that transcend traditional disciplinary boundaries such as painting murals that depicts biological pictures or acting out plays about historical events or writing poems about the cosmos. After all, the world doesn't come carved up into different subject areas. Our culture tells us these disciplinary boundaries are real and our thinking becomes trapped in them. Third and lastly is pose questions and challenges and follow up with opportunities for solitude and reflection. This provides time and space to foster the forging of new connections that's so vital to creativity.
Thank you, Mr. Kaliwanagan. That was very relevant information for teachers as well as for the students with regards on creativity. Our last presenter is also a student of Pambayang Kolehiyo ng Mauban, also under the Bachelor of Secondary Education major in English. Please welcome Miss Princess Erica Bomban.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
In first literacies, the learning focuses on arts, creativity, play, and constructive meaning-making. McCarthy and Wright asserted that educators should make deliberate connection with children's first literacies of arts and play. Likewise, a recommended new approach to early childhood pedagogy would emphasize children's embodied experience through drawing. This would include a focus on children's creation, manipulation, and changing of meaning through engaged interaction with art materials. Dorish 2001. Through physical, emotional, and social immersion, Anderson 2003. Moreover, the authors propose 4 essential components to developing and designing curriculum that cultivates students' artistic and creative literacy. The first component is imagination and pretense, fantasy and metaphor. A creative curriculum will actively support play and playfulness. In this component, teacher will plan teaching and learning opportunities for children where they are able in transforming reality, building narratives, and mastering and manipulating signs and symbol systems. The second component is active menu to meaning making. In developing curriculum which cultivates students' artistic and creative literacy, children should be allowed to choose whether to draw, write, paint, or play that suits their purpose and/or mood. In this situation, literacy learning and art learning will inform each other and which will let children to make meaning towards their learning. The third component is intentional holistic teaching. For the creativity to take place, the curriculum requires a creative teacher who practice intentional holistic teaching, because intentional teaching is all about thoughtfulness and purpose. This teaching can occur in such activities as reading a story, adding a prop or props, drawing children's attention to a spider web, and playing with rhythm and rhyme. Even the thoughtful and intentional imposing of constraints can lead to creativity. The fourth and last component is co-player or co-artist. Educators should understand that children are citizens with capacities and capabilities. Teachers should appreciate children by being mindful of their learning progress, and they should make time for conversation, like interacting with them as they draw. Teachers should also make sure that the busy management work of their days wouldn't distract the children from their being. These components actively encourage the creative and constructive thinking involved in meaning-making, which are fundamental in the development of the systems of reading, writing, and numbering.
Thank you, Ms. Bombani. That was very great conclusion about our topic, which is the artistic and creative literacy. In a rapidly changing world, creativity is important for people and society on many levels. It can help to generate personal satisfaction and be important for economic development. This is why creative thinking must be a key priority in educational environments. In the same way, creativity must also be recognized and encouraged in the workplace, because after all, it's creative thinking that leads to problem solving and innovation in a range of areas. On behalf of our instructor, Ms. Arlene Alcaraz, and our presenters, we would like to extend our gratitude for joining us today, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you, and we'll see you on the next. Bye!